get-go.
Just want to start today with a trigger warning disclaimer. This podcast contains descriptions of death and drowning. Hi, I'm Katie Carpenter.
I'm Terry Kovanitz.
We apologize for any and all mistakes today as we begin this episode of Titanic Transcripts.
The witness has been sworn. What is your full name and where do you reside?
Stanley Lord, Liverpool, England.
And what age are you, Captain?
35, sir.
And what is your business?
Master mariner.
How long have you been a mariner?
20 years.
And what ships have you sailed?
As master?
As master.
The Antillean, the Louisianan, the William Cliff, and the Californian.
Where were you in your ship on the 14th day of April last?
At what time?
At 6 o'clock in the morning of that day?
On the 14th of April at 6 o'clock. We have not got it down here, sir. I can give it to you at 9:40 o'clock and at noon.
All right, give it to me at 9:40.
42:47.
Now a little more specifically, please.
42 north and 47 west.
Are you reading from the log of the Californian?
The Californian, the ship's log, yes.
Where were you when you made the next entry into the log?
As to position?
Yes, sir.
42, 5, and 57.
At what time?
10:21 o'clock.
Same date?
Same date, the 14th of April.
And what other entries have you in the log of your position on that date?
At 6:30.
6:30 p.m.?
Yes. We had 42.5 degrees and 49.10 degrees as having passed two large icebergs.
And what is the next entry?
There's no position given there. The next entry was 7:15 o'clock. Past one large iceberg and two more in sight to the southward.
Where were you at the time?
No position entered here, sir.
Did you attempt to communicate with the vessel Titanic on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
At what time of the day?
10 minutes to 11.
A.M.?
P.M.
Oh, that is ship's time?
At the ship's time for 4725 longitude.
And that was a longitude of 4725 west?
Yes, sir.
And what was that communication?
We told them we were stopped and surrounded by ice.
And did the Titanic acknowledge that message?
Yes, sir. I believe he told the operator he had to read it and told him to shut up or stand by or something, that he was busy.
That was the Titanic's reply?
Yes, sir.
Do you have further communication with the Titanic?
Not at all, sir.
Did the Titanic have further communication with you?
No, sir.
Do you know the Titanic's position on the sea when she sank?
I know the position given to me by the Virginian as the position where she struck an iceberg, 41:56 and 50:14.
Figuring from the Titanic's position at the time she went down and your position at the time you sent this warning to the Titanic, how far were these vessels from one another?
From the position we stopped in to the position at which the Titanic is supposed to have hit the iceberg, 19.5 to 19.75 miles. South 16 west, sir, was the course.
Did the Titanic operator answer at once the message sent by you?
I believe he did.
And this was at 11 o'clock in how many minutes?
10:50.
About 11 approximately.
Yes, approximately.
Do you know what time the Titanic sent out this CQD call?
No, sir, I do not.
Did the Californian receive that call?
No, sir.
Either from the Titanic or any other ship?
We got it from the Virginian.
And what time did you receive it?
6 o'clock, sir.
A.M.?
A.M. on the 15th.
What is the average speed of the steamship Californian under fair conditions?
It would depend on the consumption of coal.
Well, what speed do you attempt to make?
On our present consumption, we average 11 in fine weather.
11 in fine weather?
On our consumption at present.
In case of distress, I suppose, it would be possible for you to exceed that considerably.
Oh, we made 13 and 13.5 the day we were going down to the Titanic.
Were you under full speed then?
We were driving all we could.
When you notified the Titanic that you were in the ice, how much ice were you in?
Well, we were surrounded by a lot of loose ice, and we were about a quarter of a mile off the edge of the field.
Were there any icebergs in view?
No, I could not see that, not then.
The ice that was that you were in was field ice?
Yes, field ice.
And how large an area, in your judgment, would that cover?
Well, my judgment was from what I saw the next day, not what I saw that night.
Exactly. But how large an area would it cover the next morning?
I suppose about 26 miles long and from 1 to 2 miles wide.
How badly were you interfered with by the ice on Sunday evening?
How were we interfered with?
Yes.
Well, we stopped altogether.
And what did you stop for?
So we would not run over the top of it.
You stopped your ship so that you might avoid the ice.
Yes, to avoid the ice.
And did you avoid it?
I did.
When did you notify the Titanic of your condition? What was your purpose?
It was just a matter of courtesy. I thought he would be a long way from where we were. I did not think he was anywhere near the ice. By rights, he ought to have been 18 or 19 miles to the southward of where I was. I never thought the ice was stretching that far down.
You gave him this information.
Just as a matter of courtesy. We always pass the news around when we get a hold of anything like that.
You knew it would not do any harm and might do them some good?
Yes. I did not know where he was. I had no idea where he was. I mean the distance. He was away from me.
Captain Lord, for the purpose of making it a little clearer, what did you say your position was at 10:50 p.m. Sunday, April 14th?
I did not say at all.
Or would you state?
It was the same position I was in when I stopped at 10:21, and that I gave you before as 42.5 degrees and 50.7 degrees.
So you had stopped and your position did not change?
No.
Substantially, for how long of a time?
We moved the engines first at 5:15 on the 15th of April, full ahead.
Do you know anything regarding the Titanic disaster of your own knowledge? Did you see the ship on Sunday?
No, sir.
Or from her?
Not from the Titanic.
Was the Titanic beyond your range of vision?
I should think so. 19.5 or 20 miles away.
How long did it take you to reach the scene of the accident from the time you steamed up and got underway Monday?
From the time we received the message of the Titanic's position?
Yes.
6 o'clock, proceed slow, pushing through thick ice. I will read this from the logbook. 6 o'clock, proceeded slow, pushing through the thick ice. 6:20, clear of thickest ice, proceed full speed, pushing the ice. 8:30, stopped close to steamship Carpathia.
Was the Carpathia at that time at the scene of the wreck?
Yes, sir. She was taking the last of the people out of the boats.
Then from 6 o'clock in the morning, you were under steam in the direction of the Titanic for 2.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
And when you pulled along the side of the Carpathia?
Yes, sir.
At the scene of the wreck?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the Carpathia's position when she received the distress call from the Titanic?
No, sir.
In speed, how does the Californian compare with the Carpathia?
I do not know anything about the Carpathia.
I would ask you, Captain Lord, to tell the committee what kind of watch you kept on Sunday night after the engine stopped. Did you keep any unusual lookout on duty?
No, not after we stopped the engines.
Did you up to the time you stopped?
Yes.
And tell the committee what that consisted of.
We doubled the lookout from the crew, put a man on the forecastle head, that is, right at the bow of the ship, and I was on the bridge myself with an officer, which I would not have been under ordinary conditions.
And what time did you increase the watch?
When it got dark that night.
As soon as it got dark.
About 8 o'clock. I went on the bridge at about 8 o'clock.
And you remained on the bridge how long?
Until 10:30.
And this increased watch was maintained during all that time?
Until 10:30, yes.
And you thought that was necessary in your situation at the time?
Well, we had a report of this ice 3 or 4 days before, so we were just taking the extra precautions.
Oh, you had reports of this ice?
Yes, sir.
2 or 3 days before?
Yes.
From whom had you received those reports?
From Captain Barr, the Caronian, on the 13th of April. That was the day before.
From whom?
From Captain Barr.
And what further advice?
Would you like to see the log?
No, I want you to read that into the record, if you please.
Okay, from the Caronian to the Captain Californian. Westbound steamers report bergs, growlers, and field ice 42 degrees north from 40.51 degrees, April 12th. Barr.
Can you file those copies?
This is the only one I have.
And that gives the date?
The 13th of April, 4:35 p.m., New York time.
And what was the next warning?
The next warning was when I saw it myself at 6:30, I think. I do not remember any others. There may have been something. Oh, no, sir. I made a mistake. We had the Parisian. We were talking with the Parisian, who was some distance ahead of us. And I was asking if he had seen any ice and to let me know, as he was so far ahead, before dark came on, and he did give me reports. On the 14th of April, should I read?
Yes.
14th April, no time given. 41.55 degrees, 49.14 degrees. Past 3 large icebergs. Not signed, no name to it.
But you know who it came from.
It was from the Parisian. Here's another one we had sometime before, on the 9th of April, from the New Amsterdam. To Californian. Ice field reported April 4th in 43.20 degrees north, 49 degrees longitude, extending as far to north-northeast horizon as is visible. MHR. Those are the letters of the ship.
And what is the date when you received that?
The 9th of April. This is from one operator to another operator, what was known as a service message. It was not addressed to me.
And where did you sail from on that voyage?
London.
And you were bound for Boston?
Boston, yes, sir.
Will you please give the Greenwich time of your wireless message as to ice sent to the Titanic?
Not the Greenwich time. I can give you the New York time. The New York time is what the wireless messages are all dated. Will that do?
Yes.
Do you mean the last message?
No, the message you sent to the Titanic.
I only sent one straight to the Titanic.
I understand. The message you sent to the Titanic at 11 o'clock on Sunday night.
That would be 9:05 or 9:10. There is an hour and 50 minutes time between New York and my noon position on the 14th.
Captain, did your log show the condition of the weather on Sunday?
Yes.
Will you please give us the condition of the weather at the earliest time you had it recorded and the latest time you have it recorded on Sunday?
4 a.m., fresh wind, rough and westerly, sky overcast, heavy shore showers.
And the next?
8 a.m., moderate wind and sea overcast, clear weather. Noon, fresh wind, moderate sea, clear weather. 4 p.m., moderate wind, smooth sea. 8 p.m., light wind, small swell, clear weather. Midnight, calm and smooth sea, clear weather, ship surrounded by ice.
Does the log indicate the direction of the wind?
The hour 11 to 12 was calm, no wind at all. Previous to that, in the early morning, it was west-northwest and north-northwest. And after noon until 10 o'clock, it was north.
Can you give us the temperature of the water and the air on Sunday between those hours you've just mentioned?
I can give it to you from memory. There's no mention of it here.
No mention of it in the log?
No.
Is it customary to record the temperatures of the air and water in the log?
Not in our logbook.
Can you give it to me from memory?
Yes.
Please do so.
At 10:30, it was 27. The water at night, the air was 30.
Did that indicate in your mind anything in particular? I mean by that, did it indicate itself of the presence of ice?
Well, I was surrounded by ice.
Or proximity to ice? I understand, but what I want to know is whether the temperature of the water and air indicates proximity to ice at this time of the year in the North Atlantic Ocean.
I suppose it would if you were close enough, but in the Arctic current, you always get cold water, even if there's not any ice. I always take the temperature of the water in fog about every 5 to 10 minutes if we are anywhere near the ice track. But still, if we got the Arctic current, we would have very cold water. But if we got within a half a mile of an iceberg, I suppose it would not drop more than another degree or maybe 2 degrees.
Will you tell the committee how you determine for yourself proximity to ice or icebergs?
In clear weather, sir?
Yes, that is, you mean day.
Day or night?
Yes.
With my own eyesight.
In the day.
Or night.
Are there any tests or precautions that may be taken other than by vision to determine proximity to ice?
Not in clear weather.
How about foggy weather?
I have not a great deal of experience in ice. This is my first experience amongst an ice field. Previous to this, I've seen small bergs in the North Atlantic only. I have seen any amount of it around Cape Horn, but that was when I was in a sailing ship.
Have you ever heard of the steam whistle being used for the purpose of detecting proximity to ice?
By the echo?
Yes.
I have read of it, but I've never heard of anyone doing it.
Oh, and you've never tried it yourself?
No.
Have you ever heard of the natural explosions of icebergs, which in themselves might constitute a warning?
Yes, I think I've heard about ice breaking adrift.
And have you ever experienced such a thing?
No, I've had very little experience with ice.
Would glasses in the hands of a lookout be of any assistance in determining proximity to ice?
No, I should not think so. I would never think of giving a man in the lookout a pair of glasses.
And have never done so?
I did once. I do not think I ever will again.
And when did you do that?
The morning I was looking for the Titanic, I gave a pair to Lookout. I pulled the man up to the main truck in a coal basket when I heard of it, so that he would have a good view around, and I gave him a pair of glasses.
Let us understand each other. That was at the time when you were increasing your vigilance.
Yes, sir.
And when you had sent an additional lookout to the crow's nest.
No, I pulled him up to the main truck, which is about 30 feet higher than the crow's nest. I pulled him up in a coal basket.
When you did that, you gave him glasses.
Yeah, I gave him some glasses.
Of course, that was in daylight.
Yes.
And that is the only time you ever used glasses in the crow's nest.
First time I ever heard of it.
Let me ask, where did you get the glasses that you gave to that extra lookout that morning?
I took them off the bridge, a spare pair that were on the bridge.
You have glasses on the bridge for your own use?
Yes.
And yet you have no glasses in the crow's nest for the use of the lookout?
No.
Do you know what vision tests are made of the lookout men before they are placed in position?
No. I believe the doctors who examine them before they are allowed to sign articles test their eyesight. I do not know. I have never been there when their examination was going on.
You would not think it desirable to employ a lookout whose vision was impaired, would you?
Well, if we found a man who could not see very well, we would not let him go on the lookout. We would very soon find that out.
His position on the masthead is supposed to be the best point for observation on the ship, is it not?
In clear weather it is.
So if you had received the CQD call of distress from the Titanic Sunday evening after your communication with the Titanic, how long, under those conditions which surrounded you, would it have taken you to reach the scene of the catastrophe?
At the very least, 2 hours.
2 hours.
At the very least. The way the ice was packed around us, and it being nighttime.
Do you know how long it took for the Carpathia to reach the scene of the accident from the time the CQD was called and received by Captain Rostron?
Only from what I've read in the paper.
And you have no knowledge of your own on that?
No, sir.
Captain Rostron told you nothing?
No. I asked him the particulars of the accident, and that was all.
It took the Carpathia about 4 hours to reach the scene of the Titanic's accident after they received word.
So I understand.
Do you know from your log or from any other source the position of the Carpathia when she received the CQD call?
No, sir.
And you were about 20 miles away?
19.5 to 20 miles from the position given to me by the Titanic.
At the hour that the Titanic sank?
We were 19.5 to 20 miles away.
And the Carpathia was 53 miles away?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to pause this. Okay.
All right, here we go.
I like where this is headed. First,
Captain Lord.
I noticed that we call him Captain Lord or Captain, not
Witness.
No. So,
yeah.
I'm like, very interesting.
I was not expecting right from the jump when he said, "Where were you?" Everyone else has answered on duty in my quarters, and he just "Where were you?" 42-45.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting coordinates right out of the gate, but I mean, it makes sense.
Because he's not a witness.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like the weather was rougher on his route.
A little bit, yeah. There is a period of clearness, but yeah, for everyone talking about how it was such a calm, clear night.
The whole journey was very clear, but not so up north.
And it's the difference in the reaction to there being ice by both captains seems astounding in a way. Like, I can understand it's your ship and you're in control, and there's probably a little bit of personal preference, and, maybe your lookouts and this and that, but they've received a couple warnings about the ice that they've got, on their logs and with them, and
so
April 9th and this.
Along
and then, so they're scooting, and then they stopped. So I guess I have to give a little more grace to Senator Smith, begrudgingly, for some of his questions, because he really, was so, well, why didn't you guys just stop? Or why were you going this fast when you knew that there was ice about? So.
But this was Captain Lord's first time.
That's true. Yeah,
Again,
he doesn't have
in
experience
ice,
with ice, so
or up north.
because I probably would be the same way.
So
if it
he was
my
really
first
like
time
2
approaching ice.
large bergs, and yikes! All right, we're gonna bring it down now. Everybody get settle in.
Yeah, whereas maybe the other captain was just like, "There's always ice up here, so just keep going."
But he'd been, a lot of experience, but still, he
Yeah,
said
20 years of
first
service.
experience with ice.
So he's been followed the sea since he was 15, because he's 35 now.
Wow.
So he really did, I suppose, truly come up the ranks.
Yes. And Senator Smith. All right, already. Is there any, like echoing or temperature?
Could you? Oh, I wrote that too. The temperature and ice correlation. Let it go.
That he just needs there to be a reason, easy
heard
way to
from
detect
everybody
ice.
else. Yeah.
Nobody is verifying it, but he
it
knows.
doesn't.
He knows it's true.
Well, obviously, if the
go.
water's frozen, then there's going to be an indication of ice.
Maybe if the ship quits moving, because
you might be in ice.
Yeah, that's just. He just
but yeah,
would not
everyone's
let
just
up
telling
on
him
that.
the same thing. You're in the Arctic current. The water's going to be cold. Doesn't mean
we're
there's
finishing
ice.
up day 8, and we're still. But you could tell because
But what was the temperature?
Yes. And no lookout glasses.
Yeah, which was really interesting because in the Titanic, from the Titanic crew, we always have glasses. Yeah. Oh, they had gone missing, and then he said, first time I ever heard of it.
Right.
I gave him the glasses, but I don't think I'd ever do it again.
But they're not White Star Lines, so I don't know if they have different policies for different lines.
Maybe. But yeah, it seemed very interesting because they're parallel in a certain way, how he was like, oh yeah, I took them off the bridge. Which the Titanic, they were missing from the crow's nest, but then they were on the bridge. So there was obviously glasses about, but it was
regular,
weird to me.
what they normally do.
Yeah, because
there's
just like, first I ever heard of it.
No regulation,
I would never do that
or
again.
just, that was, and that he would never do it again. And that it was only to the guy that was going up higher.
Specifically for the Titanic, to go higher than the crow's nest.
But there's nowhere for you to stand, so we're just going to...
coal bucket.
Pull you up, get on up there.
Which is pretty clever to get, a little extra visibility, but also kind of funny just to mentally think about that.
Right, but it does give a very strong indication of how
panicked.
Tense, yes.
And serious.
How he took this way, way, way more serious.
I think for the whole ship, it's a little personal or a little deeper for them because they were the closest and because we've heard previously that there were some rockets going off. We haven't gotten to Captain Lord talking about it yet, but we will, and I am very excited to hear it and see what he's got to say. Because, it really does. And there's, obviously hindsight's 20/20, but there's tons of speculation online about that they could have saved way more. They were the closest. They could have gotten there quicker, et cetera, et cetera.
And according to Gil, there was no way they could have missed the fireworks and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's claiming total ignorance of the Titanic being near them.
Yeah. I thought they were way further behind, and
So, they should have been nowhere near us. So I just... I'm very excited to get to part 2 and see what's
I hope
what's
Senator
what.
Smith doesn't biff the questions.
Yeah.
I hope we get some kind of thing.
That would be ideal.
Yes. I'm checking my notes to see if I had anything else interesting to say. Not really. Oh, except that I have 2 notes. One is my own ignorance. At first I was like, they didn't get the CQD call. How come? But then I forgot, so they're sleeping. There's not somebody on it 24/7. And then that the ice field was 26 miles long, he estimated. That is long.
And 2 miles.
It's like Manhattan.
When you put it that way.
Well, Manhattan, I think, is 13 miles. So it's twice as long as Manhattan, but the same width.
Oh my goodness!
I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Internet.
Way to put it into perspective. Thank you.
But so that's an interesting ice field.
Huh. All right, that's pretty big,
pretty sizable,
pretty darn
worth
big.
Stopping maybe.
Perhaps. So interesting.
And then I know we're not going to hear the wrap up on Lord until the next episode, but a little tidbit about the Californian is that she was struck by a German U-boat in 1915 and the wreckage was never found.
Oh, What a way to go. Dang it, you boat.
Yep.
Okay, so that's short and sweet. That's all we've got for this time. We'll see you next time.
Bye. As always, thank you for listening. Please be sure to let us know what you're thinking in the comments or at titanictranscripts@gmail.com. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page, Titanic Transcripts, for more interesting tidbits and general discussion.